Hi everyone, you're all very welcome to another Alpha Capital Group trader interview. Today we have Mr. Matt Morgan from down south in Australia, Southern Hemisphere trader. How are you, Matt? Good afternoon, good evening. How is things? How are you keeping?
Yeah, I'm doing it well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Very good, very well. So obviously, folks, so Matt is obviously one of our funded traders. He's just after getting another payout this week. We'll obviously talk about that in a little bit. Obviously, looks at different strategies within the market. So we'll get more about Matt, how he focuses on the markets, how he trades, how he looks at his different assets, and so on and so forth. And obviously, how his journey progressed, so where he's come from, where he's currently at. So I suppose without further ado, Matt, do you want to maybe talk us through a bit how you got into trading?
Yeah, so I've been trading probably for nearly 4 years, on and off at the start. But yeah, funny. It's like when I came across it, it was through someone, trying to sell their course on Instagram, and then I didn't even know what it was. And I looked into it that way. I think I paid about $50 like USD for something really, really basic, and I thought it was really good, and it was pretty bad. So yeah, that's how I got into it, just through someone like selling their course on Instagram, like probably like a lot of other people out there.
I suppose that $50 is well worth it now, I guess.
I know, right? Because I finally got there in the end. So 4 years late, nearly 4 years later, yeah.
Brilliant.
So that's how I came across it, yeah.
And I suppose in terms of your strategy, do you want to maybe talk to viewers through how you look at the markets, kind of what you look at, your horizons, your time frames, etc.
Yeah, so in terms of how I approach it, where I'm at now with my strategy is I trade one that is a style from ICT. If people out there have heard of him, it's the Inner Circle Trader, who he's got a lot of his content on YouTube. So that's where I predominantly have been trading, or that style, for I'd say at least 1 to 2 years now. And that's where I started to really make some headway with my trading, getting a lot more consistent, and just understanding and seeing things a lot easier, and these repeatable sort of patterns and processes. So that's where I have found my success. And I guess the way I look at it was I'm definitely starting from a higher time frame, aspect, weekly, daily, working my way down right to where I enter off the 1 minute or the 1 to 5 minutes candles. So that's what I'm looking at there. Yeah.
Okay. So you'd be very much kind of, I suppose, in terms of the execution, you're looking for precision. I suppose within your approach, you're looking for prime time precision entries, trying to catch the areas to achieve.
Yeah.
Really.
That's right. Yeah. So very, very precise. I generally, I'm probably using anywhere from a 3 to 5 pip stop loss, which is pretty tight. Can do it smaller than that, but it just for me, it gets a little bit too risky. And then your psychology starts to play into it, and you start to stress a little bit too much. So I'm happy and I feel comfortable around that sort of mark. But yeah, a lot of precision going into it. And then depending where we are in terms of like high time frame, my targets would be a little bit different. I'm either, aiming for daily liquidity or 1 to 4 hour sort of liquidity pools to be taken out.
Interest, brilliant. Okay, so it obviously just depends on, I suppose, the circumstances that's presented at the time, and then being able to make kind of clear decisions. Well, if it's a higher time frame, I have a set process built in. If it's lower time frame, I have a different process built in, but it's still structured nonetheless.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. And I suppose what assets then? I know we'll be looking at your dashboard shortly. But what assets do you prefer to trade? Is there certain assets that you prefer to trade more than others in that regard?
Yeah. I'm heavily just Euro USD. I have moved into a little bit of the S&P 500, but because I'm on the lower time frames quite a bit. It can be hard trying to look at two different things. So I do quite well sticking to one. It's not, I don't really need to just move into other things at the moment. If something's working for me right now, I'm going to stick with that. So. And even if it wasn't for the time being, I just have a break. I prefer to stick to the one thing.
I know. I suppose that's thinking as well, because I think a lot of traders try to trade many different assets and many different pairs. And I think like the fact that you're the prime example of a person who can become funded, remain funded, and make consistent profit by trading just one instrument. If you stay focused on what you're looking at, I think that's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
So I suppose within your strategy, I know you're saying you look at ICT. Do you look at like volume profiles? Do you look at fundamentals at all, or are you solely a price action guy?
So solely price action. I'm aware of fundamentals, and I usually I won't trade for them or incorporate that. I'll try and stay out. If I'm in a healthy enough position when it's, fundamentals might be coming out, then I'll be like, okay, how's my, am I up for the week, or am I in drawdown? Like, I don't want to be in that sort of position. If I can, afford to risk a little bit, then I'll kind of ride it out. But usually I won't be in around a high point for news. So yeah.
Certainly. Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I suppose like with anything, with the volatility, you get slippage, you get particularly on lower time frames. So I'm sure you've probably seen it before.
So we've all probably experienced it. You've all been slipped, right through the floor. And because I'm using such a small, I'm so precise with my entry and then my stop loss position, my lots are going to be of a higher trade size. So when you do get slipped, it's quite a hit.
It can be quite painful, I'm sure.
That's right.
Quite painful. Yeah, for sure. And then I suppose with that aside, obviously with the tighter stops and obviously navigating around volatility, market volatility, particularly fundamental events, how do you handle your, like, do you set, like, I suppose this is kind of two parts to a question. Do you opt for multiple positions and scale-ins, or do you have, like, let's say a single approach whereby, it's a one and done position and I leave it at that, maybe of a 0.5% risk or 1% risk, whatever it is? How do you measure and quantify your risk relevant to the strategy that you're using at the moment?
So depending on where I guess if I'm above, I'm up a few percent, and balance is in a healthy position, then I will be happier, and there won't be as much stress or worry behind taking an extra position. I will look to stack a trade. If I can get my stop loss to break even and be relatively safe, then for sure, if another setup presents, it will be, I won't be going in with as much volume, but I'll look to take advantage of that, because if it's still there and if the target hasn't been met, so if I haven't, if the liquidity on the 1 hour or 4 hour daily has not been met, then I'm still able to target that and re-enter, and that's what I'll do there. But I'll be a little bit more aggressive with protecting my entry and moving my stop loss. So that's where I'll look to do that.
So I suppose you look at it as a double-edged sword, really. Obviously, being conscious of protecting the risk, but at the same time being ruthless enough that you have confidence in your approach, you have confidence in your strategy. You've seen this formation so many times over, probably hundreds, if not thousands of times over.
That's right, yeah.
So you're confident within the execution of obviously what you're doing. So I suppose then the other side of that, then, if you were to look at the risk, so do you risk 0.5%, 0.25%? What's your type of risk profile like?
Initially, like, I'm normally around the 0.5 to 0.6%. So depending on how much volume I'm going to be putting on there, but I don't like to creep towards the 1%. It's just a bit, it's a little bit too risky without having, I guess, a buffer in your account where you're sitting well for the month, and you can start to creep up a little bit there and get a little bit closer, because you can take out plenty, even risking 0.5%. It's you're kind of getting a little bit. I feel like I'm getting a little bit greedy if I go towards that. So
certainly, yeah. I suppose the thing is as well, when your stops are so tight and your volume, your position size is quite obviously higher to allow for that. You don't need to be doing, let's say, massive risk percentages to make any sort of decent profit. And I think we'll obviously be looking at that shortly as well with the profit this week. But I think that's obviously something that's probably steadfast within your mindset, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Even the one position, like, I'm more than happy to ride the one position, but now I've gotten way more comfortable in adding that in there. And just like you said, it's like with the trade size I'm able to use, and it's just, you really don't have to
for sure
go too crazy, go towards that 1%. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, it's good to see, because I think with us, and you've probably seen it before yourself in the industry, that a lot of traders, they focus on how much money they can make, and they go massive size. And I'm sure probably a lot of people watching this later will obviously emphasize with that. And I think it's important that even by risking smaller amounts, you can still make fairly consistent profits. And I think that's really the catalyst, I think, with all of this, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I first was starting to get quite consistent. I was happy using, risking even under 0.5%, even like 0.3%, and then stacking some wins, and then looking to increase, my percentage of risk. So, just getting a few wins across the board, and just maybe getting a little bit of confidence, because a lot of people will come into this, and as soon as you get funded, like we've all been there, you start to stress a little bit more, and then you just you get a bit of tunnel vision, and this is where the problems start to come in. So if you just start a little bit slower, get a couple of wins, then your confidence will start to boost. So,
and I think as well, even from past experience, but you're hitting the nail on the head as well. I would say confidence is a massive thing in trading. So like those kind of streaks, those losing streaks, those winning streaks, it's all part of maintaining that kind of clear mindset at all times, regardless of whether you're on the plus side or the downside. I'm sure you'd agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. You are your own worst enemy. You're always constantly fighting a battle between whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. And, it's one of those things. It's just consistently being able to turn up and stick to your plan, and, doing the right thing, I guess, to what your strategy is. So.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. Well, Matt, do you want to open up your dashboard there and maybe talk us through some of the trades you've taken? Because I know you've had a very, very good month.
Yes, let's have a look. I'll see if I can share this. 1 second, share screen. Where's it gone? Where's the dashboard? Okay. It won't find the dashboard. I can't get the dashboard on here.
If you share your screen, the green button, it should open a set of tabs.
Yeah.
So if you go into your Google and you actually select your web page for the dashboard, and you go back into your Zoom, it'll come up. I think it's the most recent one. It should come up, hopefully.
Google. Go to dashboard. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it's not giving me the selection for it. I can't. It's 1 sec. Let's see. Oh, here we go. It might be coming up now. Yeah. All right. There we go.
Lovely. Here we go. Lovely. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
All right. So this is what we've got. So if just having a look, my trades I've taken is probably a little bit more than I'd normally take over what the 2 weeks span. So it's kind of crept up 1 or 2 days there. Once I started to get, in quite a bit of, I guess, profit, then I had a little bit more opportunity to take a few extra trades, probably that I wouldn't normally take.
Yeah.
It's got my best trade here and my worst trade. So you'll notice my worst trade, this one here was where I didn't stick to my rules here. This would have been a really big trade. And
great lesson for folks.
Yeah, so I was up quite a bit. This is where, if this is for everyone on here, my end payout was what, 47,000 USD. Total made, I think it says somewhere here, 45.
Yeah.
And I had this trade running, and this is where I had two positions. So I entered, and I had another scale in, and from there, this came up, and it took out the daily highs, took out my liquidity, and that's where I would normally target. And I've let that come back down, and it's taken me out. So that was a big lesson there. Learning lesson. Yeah. So, because you kind of walk away from it. You don't want to watch the trade most of the time. Then you come back, and it was sitting very close to where I've entered.
Certainly. And I suppose as well, like even looking at your average wins and average losses, like the risk reward there is phenomenal. Like your risk reward of 1 to 7, I suppose, are you a big risk reward guy when it comes to numbers? Do you look at your risk reward solely, or?
I try not to look into those sorts of things because once I start to get a little bit focused, which I did, I started to get focused on some numbers here where I took that loss. And, that's where the psychology for me kind of crept back in. I was up quite a bit and then I was like, yeah, this one's going to the moon. And it came back and humbled me quite quick. So, yeah, so I try not to focus too much, but if anything, I'm definitely looking for minimums of 1 to 5.
Okay.
And that's what I've found works quite well for me in terms of like the style and the time frames I'm getting in.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And
so,
I suppose as well with your precision, again, because you're getting in at such a good point, you can maximize those. So if you're like, rather than somebody's trading, let's say an hour or 4 hour, like myself, for example, because you're getting in a precision, you're kind of catching those areas at the top. So you can really take advantage of those risk rewards where you could see like 1 to 10s, 1 to 15s potentially come quite regularly, just
yeah,
because
that's right.
of how precise you are in terms of your execution, I'm sure.
Exactly. So if this was, if I wasn't in such a good position, this trade here would have been closed out a long time ago. So it's one of those things, a long time ago I wouldn't have had I guess the mentality or to be able to kind of sit through that where it's come back and then kind of just go, okay, learn from that. You've still got quite a big, paycheck coming in, but that to give back was, it's probably not something I want to do again, which will move forward. So
But it's
definitely learning lesson there.
but I suppose from my perspective, or even from yours as well, and generalizing it, it's important to be able to learn from these lessons. Like
100%, yeah, without a doubt. So yeah, people looking at this, if you'll see that my wins were quite high, like that being the risk reward. And once you get into that position, you're able to I guess put some more out there on the line. But definitely a learning curve. And I'm lucky to come out on the other side of that, still in quite a really good position. And with a really good payout. So
and the thing is, like, considering, for example, if that trade hadn't to go against you, you obviously would have had quite a bigger payout because you already had a lot of floating P&L before that kind of loss came through. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But to be honest, this would probably down the line. This probably would have happened again. So I'm take it as it is, and I've gotten that out of the way, and I'm pretty confident that won't happen again. So
Definitely.
yeah, it's one of those things. You don't know. It's everyone's personality, and if you can ride that sort of wave, then good
Sure.
on you. And if you did the right thing, you closed it. Well, even better for you. And not so much for me.
Well, look, I always say there's no adage. I always say if you're not earning, you're learning, and if you're doing both at the same time, it's even better. But I think like even you're humble enough, and you're happy enough to admit that, look, this wasn't this is a situation where maybe I didn't handle the best I could have handled it, but I'm conscious of that going forward, that I can obviously apply these lessons. And even now, the position that you're in, how much money you've made, how consistent you are, you're still constantly trying to improve, still constantly trying. I think that's hopefully something that a lot of people outside of that, I'm sure, can probably resonate too.
Yeah, that's right. And the other hand, where the mentality for me behind that was where it was sitting. If it did continue to go like we all think it might, then the upside for where I was going to be like next level. So definitely always looking to learn from the wins and the losses, and it's just what you've got to do. You've just got to not beat yourself up and just move on, and you got to learn from it. So that's where I am. Definitely humbled by it, and I'm totally fine with it. And here I am, ready to go again and move on with it.
For sure. And I suppose looking at your data, looking at performance, do you again, this would be a good question, I suppose, maybe from a man of your experience. Do you look at journaling? Do you look at the metrics? Like, are you constantly looking at your data in terms of like where I am, not just from a risk perspective, but from equity, performance, everything collectively, your positions? Would you look at your journal? Would you look at the performance and the metrics much?
I used to a lot more. I do a little bit now. So I'm still journaling my trades. I'm using Notion, which is like an online diary. You can if you type in Notion or Google, it'll come up. You can kind of set things up there and just tabling my my wins, my losses, and those sorts of things. But I'm trying to get a little bit more I guess, around my emotions around each trade, win or loss. I find the metrics in terms of, how many am I winning, am I losing? Like I can kind of just go with the flow with that. I know where I sit, but it's just more so the psychological aspect. That's my big focus at the moment in terms of what to improve, and to, I guess, always just consistently be aware of it. How I'm thinking and how I'm reacting and how I'm feeling in and around each trade.
Interesting. And I suppose do you do any, I'm not going to say therapies, but is there anything that you do outside of trading to help with your psychology? Because I know a lot of guys use the gym, yoga. Do you do any of that to try and bring the psychology down, maintain calm, clear the mind? Do you do any of that?
Yeah, for sure. For me, it's definitely, regular walks. Like it sounds simple, but I just get moving. So I'll go for a regular walk. I train pretty much 5 days a week. Either, lots of weights training, and I do a lot of boxing, Thai boxing, and things like that. So if I'm not training, then still feel like I've got a lot of energy to burn, and I can't sort of sit still. So I'll look to do that, and I've ticked a few boxes throughout my day that set me up for a good evening. Because for me, it'll be 5 p.m. by the time the European session, London's kicking on. So
Okay.
yeah,
Brilliant.
that's my sort of daily.
And I suppose as well, those get away from the desk is obviously important because that helps with the discipline as well. Like the urge for wanting to take positions maybe aren't necessarily there, or over trading or the revenge trading. And again, you can kind of see how that factors back into the psychology as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was another thing, I've had to overcome. And a lot of people do. It's everyone goes through it. The revenge trading. You want to succeed now rather than slow down. Try and just get consistent. Just chip away at it. It's one of those things. You try very hard to do the right things, and then these little habits just keep creeping back in. So to do that and to keep myself at I guess at peace, yeah, I'm doing all these other little things around, my daily activities.
Well, like I suppose from a discipline perspective, it's always important. Like trading, it can be a very, very lonely place if you're sitting on your desk, but also can be a very, very high octane environment where like you're seeing the numbers, you're seeing the data go zigzag constantly on your screen. And like it's important to be able to detach from that, like bring yourself back and like doing all of those things. I think that's probably really the bedrock of some of your successes, making sure that you remain calm, you remain focused, but the proof is in the pudding because you're absolutely nailing it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so I suppose like in your journey, right, over the last, let's say, 4 years or even 2 years in particular, what are, I suppose, the things that you enjoy most about your trading?
Enjoy most?
Yeah. If there is more than one, even better.
Yeah, well, but I guess, something I enjoy now, like for a long time, it was just when am I going to succeed? So when you get there, right now is what I'm enjoying the most, is just knowing how much effort, how many hours I've put into it, and kind of reaping the benefits of that. Like, a lot of people, everyone's got to, put, mass amounts of effort into learning something, and it's all individual. No one knows exactly when they're going to get it, but it's definitely a result of how hard you do work for it. And here I am, and that's one thing I'm enjoying right now is the success that comes with it, and what it can provide me at the moment. So like it's an expensive world out there, so any bit of help in terms of finance goes a long way. So to learn a skill like this and kind of be consistent with it, it's pretty cool. It's an amazing thing.
And like when you factor in like real time inflation in the markets, like out there, even just in normal society, like I have never been to Australia, but I suspect inflation is fairly visible over there as well in the parts that you're living
at. Yeah, it's through the roof at the moment. So
yeah, it definitely goes a long way for sure, for sure. And I suppose like being reflective, if you were to, let's say hypothetically today, you were to talk to someone who's new or someone new watching this video, or even yourself, let's say go way back 4 years ago, what would you recommend, or what are the kind of like the qualities that traders should focus on, or what are the key aspects that traders should focus on to try and be successful in the financial markets in 2023 or 2024?
I guess patience is going to be one of the biggest, I think, and just a commitment to and a willingness to learn and just slow down. Don't rush it. Yeah, those two just like come straight to the front of my mind there. It's just having the patience to take the time, learn something, learn to apply it. You might not get it, but and then having the willingness and the commitment to stick it out, and just keep going, because if it's something you really want to do, and you'll find a way. So some of those qualities there is what I'd be if I could go back and speak to myself or speak to someone just getting into it, having the patience, commitment, and just willingness to learn.
Yeah, I suppose being resilient as well.
Massively, yeah.
Look, just hearing your journey, I'm sure as well, probably.
Yeah, you've got to be able to take the hits and just keep getting up. So yeah, definitely resilience is always is a massive one as well, for sure.
Yeah, definitely, brilliant. And I suppose where you are now in 2023, so you've come a very, very long way in a relatively short period of time, right? 1 to 2 years in a life span isn't that terribly far. Do you tend to set objectives for yourself? Is there goals? Do you have aims that you want to do, let's say internally, externally, funding, or private, like over the next year or two? Do you set goals for yourself, or do you kind of play it week by week, month by month, so to speak?
Well, I try not to, we've all got those goals, and you've got the dreams of the financial freedom, not having to really, go to work, being able to just solely rely on your trading for income. So that's definitely a goal, being able to just rely on trading for income. And then for sure down the line, I'd like to probably stack a few prop firms and build my assets under management there and my capital. Definitely on the cards. And yeah, just to be honest, just the goal is just to be happy and to be healthy and safe, and then just being able to earn enough to live in this crazy world. Pretty much that's where it is. I used to have a lot of materialistic sort of goals, like I think we all do. You all kind of go through that, but now at the moment it's just, oh yeah, you know how it is. So yeah, that's it for me.
For sure. And I suppose as well, again, kind of the old saying, healthy mind, healthy body.
That's right.
Even listening to you there, you really enjoy and love what you do, and I think that passion, that raw passion, I think is really, really important as well. And look, it's these types of things that over time, I'm sure that it'll continue to develop. I'm sure you'll continue to grow both with us, but also externally as well with other organizations, which is only going to make you enjoy this probably even more as time progresses by, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Very much so. Well, Matt, that was a very, very amazing video today. Great insight into how you look at the markets. Obviously, factoring in at your success story over the last, obviously, 1 to 2 years, but more particularly over the last number of months or so now. So that was obviously your biggest payout with us this week. Am I correct in saying it is?
Yes.
Yes. So it's a case of now waiting to see how many more big payouts can you do. I hope you don't bankrupt us now with all of these big payouts. But no, without a doubt, look, your success story is truly phenomenal. But I suppose the goal would be just to, I'm sure for yourself, to continue developing. We'd love to have you back again later in the year to see how you're progressing.
100%. Yeah, more than happy to jump on again and see where we're at. Maybe even have some more capital under my belt, and hopefully I am solely relying on just trading as an income, and I don't have to hit the alarm every morning when I'm waking up. So
yeah, and I suppose when you're working, how do you manage? Like, I suppose again, this is because not everyone's a full-time trader. How do you manage the balance in life?
Well, it's funny. It works out quite well, over here in Sydney, Australia. The timing. So I'm a school teacher. I can get up, go to work, do my job. I still have at least enough time to train after work, and then come get ready. Just for the market and pre-market, analysis and for it to open. but they do turn into long days. But I can fit it all in, so can be up quite late. So I'll end up being up to probably either 1 or 2 a.m. some nights or most nights, and then I'm up at 7 a.m. and then doing it all again. So you've got to be in it and wanting to get as much out of it as you can.
That is incredible passion. That is absolutely like those are long days. Like to do that every day. And do you trade every day, Monday to Friday? Is there any days of the week that you don't tend to trade that much?
Depends on the position I'm in and what the market's looking like. Some days are just I'll give it a miss, but most of the time I'll be there for the first hour or two of the opening session, and I'll be checking it out, seeing what's there, set some alerts, and then if not, then I'll be out. I'll go be making dinner or lunch for tomorrow or whatever. So yeah.
And you're running trades at the moment as we speak, aren't you?
Oh yeah. So they're just one obviously alert just gone off, so we'll see where that's at.
This will be interesting.
So we're just having a look at the moment, but I can't really. It's not really moving, but. So yeah, that's my days. They're long days. I've been doing that for a long time. I've been putting 2 a.m.s in for a long time. Lots of hours before, after work, whenever I can, just to get where I am. So
that is incredible hard work. But again, it shows you, like anything else, the more work you put in, the more rewards you reap out of your career, like and your prime example of that. Well, look, I know it's getting late over there for you. Amazing to have you on. A great character, great human being. Obviously, best of luck for not just obviously the next couple of weeks, but obviously through the course of 2023 and obviously beyond. And obviously love to have you on again back end of the year. We'll do another call to see how you're progressing and see where you're journey. Because I'm sure there'll be good times. I'm sure there'll probably be the odd setback here and there. So it'll be interesting to see how you develop.
No doubt, mate. Without a doubt.
Very much so. Well, Matt, look, enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great week and have a great month. And we'll definitely be chatting to you soon again. All right.
No problem, mate. Thanks for having me on. You have a good day.
Good.